Hello, everybody, and welcome. Okay, today's topic is still the last topic we didn't finish. Uh, I add more to it. It's an outline of the journey of the absolute, and I still add more to this part. As in the past, before we begin, and let me discuss something off the top of my head. First, I would like to say if you watch the internet, YouTube especially, you can see a lot of topics about the current, what people are most interested, like cosmology, uh, quantum mechanics, something about God, about atheist, and some debate, especially the curiosity about our universe, things like that. Well, I have to add that, oh yeah, including a lot of philosophical questions like, consciousness, things like that. Okay, I have to uh, I have to say that a lot of people who are talking about these subjects, let's say consciousness or what's there in the universe, ultimately, think questions like that. They are used to be the sphere or field of philosophy and religion. But nowadays, since maybe a lot of science felt like Stephen Hawking, that since philosophy doesn't say much about whatever in the future or in terms of worldview, so physics, since it's very active, it just take over the torch, the light, and guiding everybody forward. Uh, Raise curiosity in people's minds about that and try to give answers to them. Well, everybody admits that science, especially physics, in quantum mechanics or cosmology, achieves a great deal of progress. And especially, let's say, in cosmology, since Hubble's telescope, it gives us so many wonderful pictures. Okay, and it really satisfied a lot of people's curiosity, and it's really opened people's eyes. Well, on the other side, think about it this way. I remember the German philosopher Kant, Emil Kant, said once that the more I look upwards to the sky, the stars, the deep universe, and the more I look inside my mind about uh, morality, ethics, the more I feel wonder, or something like that, to that effect. So let me say this. If you feel that the only way to satisfy your curiosity is through the senses, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch, or even with the help of scientific instruments like Hubble scope, it's a very small part, really, really very small part. The universe is so large, it's billions, millions of billions of stars, of galaxies, black holes, every system, every, like our Milky Galaxy, Milky Way Galaxy has one. And it's really endless. It's so mind blowing. It's you really don't know how big it is. But on the other hand, no matter how far you go, when can you reach the mind? reach the boundary. I mean, the boundary of the universe. Can you reach it in your lifetime? Well, probably you won't. Probably for many centuries you won't reach the limit of the boundary of the universe, right? All right, okay. The other side, as a philosopher and people like me, and we dig, we look inside our mind to find the other side of the deep stuff that is thinking. To be specific, in my system, it's called absolute, the absolute, or Instancology. They are the same thing. I mean, in the same system, actually. All right? So, my point here is, if you're physicist, you can feel a lot of different waters, like a fish. What's polluted water, what's warm water, cold water, as I said in the last talk. But when asked what physics is, what's the nature of physics, you really cannot answer, because according to Gödel's principle, incomplete theorem, that the system cannot justify itself. Okay, so you understand that. You cannot step out of your boundaries. I know one video I watched, people say there's roughly 500 different versions about the universe nowadays, including Big Bang, inflationary universe, multiverse, cyclical universe, tons of stuff. And about the consciousness side too. There's a lot of things. And people say we cannot unify them. So, well, to my mind, they are all somehow not much different. That's called, in Hegel's term, quantitative difference, no qualitative difference. That means you are either, like in our Chinese saying, you are 50 yards, I'm 100 yards. So we don't have a much difference. So, in other words, none of them will be correct. The correct one, where does the correct one come from? It will be totally different, trust me, on this. Because if it's so easy, so little step you make, you can achieve it, it won't be like that. Think about that. How about Newton? When Newton discovered the law of gravity, does he add up a little by little, competing with other scientists? How about Kepler or Galileo? How about Einstein? When Einstein wrote his paper, the special relativity, he is not a university professor. He's a little clerk in the Swiss patent office. Is he a doctor? No. It's an entirely different angle. Okay? The more people fight for it, try to get it collectively, the less likely any one of them will succeed. That's a law of discovery, or transcendental number, in my words. I like that word. All right. Okay. The second thing I think people should guard themselves against is, do they, any of the postulates or guesswork or whatever, when they through there, you can ask them, are they systematic? Do they launch anything with a system? Anything that is a system, systematic thoughts will be more powerful than just through a bunch of casual thinking or things like that. Trust me. If the guy doesn't have a system, just gave idea like something, most likely, I say most likely, it is wrong. It's just self-fancy. It cannot be the truth, trust me, because it has no roots in anywhere. It's not systematic. So another point you need to guard yourself against. One more thing is, I think, if somebody gave some theory about a universal consciousness and asked him, do you inherit anything from the past? The truth we already know, the facts we already know? What's the relationship between what you proposed and the past, the truth in the past? Or the theory the scientists already verified? That's a way to verify, to prove that the new theory is correct or not. Okay? So it must inherit from the old, from past traditional thinking or theory. That's how the truth develops. New discovery can go. Alright? Just like Einstein theory make Newtonian classic physics a subsystem. Alright? And when science develops to some stage, the unifier will come out and summarize or give every theory, if there's any grain of truth, put into his or her system. That's normally the case. Like Newton theory, gravity theory, and he basically inherited Galileo and Kepler theory, and Maxwell's theory about electronic waves and magnetic waves, unify that two fronts, and also the speed of light is put in those two, and of course Albert Einstein theory on that part. And so everybody does something like that if they are really true discoverers. So believe, trust me on that one. And so the point is quantitative, little step by little step. It won't have a revolution. It won't have, in Thomas Kuhn's words, paradigm shift. No. It must be drastically different. That's one appearance. Another thing is, you have to look at inside of the theory is that logical extension from the old theory, from the old successful proven truth. So think about that one. If it's not, and probably it's just self-fancy, just guesswork. It won't be the truth. Okay? So I want to add a few thinking, my thoughts on when you watch those videos from internet or listen to any lectures or science festivals in New York or something, or in Arizona or whoever chairs it, and about astronomy, about philosophy, about whatever talk. Think about those points and bear on your mind about them and give better judgment. All right? Don't just follow blindly, things like that. All right? Okay. Last time I remembered I mentioned several points about what you should bear in mind when you watch my videos, and I mentioned four of them, and actually I missed one or two I at that time, and now I want to give you the list. So bear in mind these questions, all in this philosophy of instantology and cosmology, absolutology, I gave answers to. Did I solve it? Well, it's your judgment. See what you feel, all right? If I say I solve it or not, it doesn't count, right? if you feel you did it or you didn't, or the majority feel that way, probably that will count. But if it's truth, and truth can wait, as Schopenhauer said, truth has a long life, it can wait. See who is right at the end. Maybe before, after we all died, who knows? But I believe what I said is true, because I did it with the idea of intellectual honesty. I believe what I said, what I thought about that. All right? I didn't make it in one day. The thought has been with me for more than 30 years. But in past few years, I just wrote it up and published it. Well, there is some development, I should say, that my original idea when I was an undergraduate is not entirely like that. But the basic idea is the same. And later on, it's just extension of it, expanding more and more to cover more and more. That's it. Just like my two books. Okay? This is the first book, 470 pages. I published 4 years ago. And this is just outline. Outline like 470,000 words, I believe. All right? Okay. Then in the past 3 years, I wrote this one too. Explained with 330,000 words one more time. But I still feel there's probably a lot to say about it. I just, when I have time, or I have to translate first. I don't know which one goes first. I'm always thinking about the ideas first. Okay, so I don't have time to translate them into English one piece by piece. So, but I wrote a little bit in English too. It's a mix up of two languages, Chinese and English, and I don't know if it's the right way to do it or not. But translation nowadays shouldn't be a big deal, right? You have a Google Translation. You can copy words or sentences from the page by page and translate in 1 second, and you get a rough idea, right? And also, nowadays technology is so advanced, so translation shouldn't be a problem. And people don't, because the ancient Greeks write it in Greeks, and we just don't study it. And the truth is truth, all right? You have to chase it. You have to dig deep into it, all right? And hopefully it is the case with my new theory. Okay. So did I forget to mention the few questions you should remember when you come to the system? All right. Okay. I summarize it into 7 questions you should bear on your mind when you come to the system. Okay. The 7 questions are: what is the essence of, number 1, quantum mechanics? Number 2, of cosmology. Number 3, AI, artificial intelligence. All right. Number 4, knowledge. Why do we can understand things? Why? Universe is so mysterious. Why we can understand it? According to Einstein, it's a wonder. Okay, I'll tell you why in my system. Okay, next one, what's a free will? See what I said. Why do we have free will? And then next one, number 6, is thinking. What's the nature of thinking? What's the nature of thought, logic? What's the nature of that? What's the essence of it? Same thing, all right? The last one is the paramount one. It's what's the nature of consciousness? We talk about that a lot. That's a philosopher's field. But nowadays, all the psychologists, the physicists, cosmologists, and try to grab it. Well, I'm glad you do. Then there's no problem. But it's hard for you to get it because it's like a fish. You ask a fish, "What's the water?" Do you think the fish can answer you? No. You don't have that training to answer that, to go beyond your boundary. If you do, maybe you can answer it. I don't know. Okay? Okay, that's the 7 questions that I want to mention. Okay, then before I add to my topic today, I want to say a few things about what's the significance of talking about the absolutology. What's the significance of it? I talk about that a lot. All right, in the past. Okay, I can give you a few thoughts about that. The first thing I want to say is, with the idea of the absolute, you can be precise in everything in the relative world. That is, no matter how precise you want to go, you can. They give you that confidence. What do I mean? Let's say you launch a satellite, you want to reclaim it. You launch a missile, you want to hit the target. But you still always a few hundred yards away or a few miles away from your target place. You want to make it as precisely as possible, as precise as you can. Well, my philosophy tells you you can. You really can. You can make as precise as you will. Nowadays, people cannot measure long-term weather forecast. They use all the big machines with gazillions of memory, speed, whatever. They just cannot predict a long-term one. And my theory, the absolutology, tells you you can. Don't lose confidence. You can. Because it's relative. Theoretically, you can. Okay? That's the thing I want to add here. Isn't that exciting? Well, think about that. Alright. The second point is, when you know the absolute, you know anything in the relative world, or in the world. Of course, the world is entirely relative. Any problem can be overcome. Any problem, because it has limitation. It has defects. When you find it, you can overcome it. No problem about it. And for sure. Okay? Because your mind, your brain is absolute in nature. Any absolute stuff can overcome relative stuff. No question about that. The only thing is, do it fast before you die. Alright? Your life is limited by time. And God only gave you X seconds to do it. Alright? So, but as long as you live, as long as you can think, you can do it. And there's a way to overcome it. Okay? That's what I want to tell you. Nowadays, people's basic physical needs, our body, anything material are two. We want to eat. You have the need to generate offspring or have sex, whatever you want to call it. Especially the food, clothing, living quarters, and traffic, the going out, the cars or whatever, the utilities. And the absolutology tells you it can be done sooner or later. One day, somebody push a button, we have abundant food for next half year, 6 months. Everybody will concentrate on the spiritual thing. Maybe compete for poems, for music, for theater things, for films, for drawings. The entirely spiritual life one day will come to that age. Food, clothing, anything physical is not a problem at all. Will come to that stage, trust me. Because the absolute will overcome the relative part. Of course, we depend on the science, but it's controlled science. It's not like a science goes like a wild fire, all right? We don't want science to cause trouble, so use it intelligently. But I believe my theory gave support to that goal. All humans are not like animals anymore, hunting for food, to kill enemies, not anymore. Humans are special. They have the absolute part. They will overcome the beasts, the savages, wanted for food, to pass winter maybe, to survive with a house. They will pass that stage. All the physical needs will be solved. That's one of the conclusions. All right, very very easy to think, but hard to achieve. But we can theoretically give you that foundation. Okay. On the other hand, I want to add that when you realize the absolute part in yourself, this absolute is also a double edge, like a science. You have to control it. It can make you mad, make you go crazy somehow. All right? So you have to control it to some extent. Why people say the Alexander has the ambition, that's absolute ambition to conquer everything, or Hitler has the ambition to conquer absolute everything. That's desire part. It's in the consciousness. It's on the right part of the hemisphere of your brain. That's absolute too. Okay, so we have to control that part. Think about that. When you get this big weapon, know how to use it. And before you know it, like a child shouldn't be get hold of a gun, right? Otherwise he will either kill himself or kill somebody else. It's the same thing. Before you realize how important the absolute is, you better use it carefully. All right? It can give you a lot of things never expected. Okay? So I want to add that part. Okay, so these are introduction to this topic of journey of the absolute. All right. What I want to say is, for this journey of the absolute, when absolute comes or emerges to the world, actually creates a world, it first from potentiality, from hidden status or state, to create a one. And that before that emerges a one, whatever it is, comes out. You won't know it's a being. Okay? Well, let's think about that. When nowadays cosmologists and quantum mechanics physicists in this area talk about a string theory, the M theory, the superstring theory, I have a question. Why do you think it's a string? Isn't string one dimension is bigger, larger than the point? Why not a jumping of the points? Why? Nobody ever answered that to me. No matter how small scale the string is, Isn't that a point is smaller? Isn't string made of points? How come it's not? Tell me that. You said that's one dimension, right? Okay, if it's one dimension, a point doesn't have dimension. Remember the axiom, the Euclidean geometry, the definition for axioms. The point has no dimension, so it's smaller than a string. Tell me why. Okay, that's the things like that. All right. Okay. So where were we? Okay. So potentiality, when it emerges, when it comes into being, it already emerges into being. All right. But don't ask me how it comes to being. I will say the absolute has that function, the function of creating the world from one, from potentiality to existence, to be a being. Okay, that is this one. All right, never mind the discoloring here. And I should go this way. Yeah, I should go this way. Potentiality come to being with two dimensions, logic and math, then go on. All right, four dimensions. It's a prime matter, and then now come to our world. All right, with psychology at the fifth one. All right, time, space, and logic, math, psychology, 5. All right, it goes step by step goes out. All right, okay, so you can see the logic here. So the next stop for absolute to show is being, existence. On this one, it is started to be something, and immediately it turns into determinate being. That is, has some limit or has some defects. It's still unknown to people. Like Emil Kant says, it's a noumenon. Okay, it's undetectable. In my system, I call it prior matter. Prior matter. That's a logical term rather than dark matter or dark energy or black hole. Why don't you? They all call it dark, black. Black energy, black hole, black whatever, and that's everything is black. Okay, so here is the one of the stage or phase it goes through. All right. On the other hand, in this stage of a determinate being, we also have the being thought, the thought of being, or being of thoughts. All the thoughts belong to this part. And in this system, I divided it into the forms of thoughts and the contents of thoughts. Okay? The forms are mathematics, symbols, logic, things like that. Remember, people have a long discussion. Does mathematics mean anything real? Is mathematics true to exist? Okay, so my theory, my philosophy gave the answers to this one. Okay, so what's the content of the thought then? Well, I should say my definition is something like as abstract as ontology can be considered the content of thoughts. Other subcategories like the theories, like economics, political theories, or philosophy of other things about women, about race, about children, human rights, whatever you call it. It's the content of thought. But the forms part is very important. They are all the syntax part. And with this part, you cannot do anything like to abstract one more layer. No, you cannot do that. And to say this, it reminds me of Chomsky's GU, general, the UG, universal grammar, UG. That's impossible. If you can do that, you can do everything. We have so many languages in computer. I was a computer person for more than 25 years. We have so many languages. We have nowadays C#, Java, and C++, C. In the past, we have Fortran, we have Basic, we have Foxborough, we have a lot of other things, right? But have we ever generalized a language that is universal? It replaces everybody else? No. Okay, you may ask, how about Esperanto, the universal, the world language so-called? Well, my answer is that's only temporal. Trust me. It will never spring into a world language except by everybody. Logically, it's impossible because language is a form. Form is everything. You cannot abstract one more layer from it. You cannot. It won't survive. The other side of thought is consciousness. This part is the creative part, is unity. So any creative stuff like arts, music, beauty, and appreciation of the status of whatever you see, hear, feel. All right. I give the definition about it. To me, consciousness is the different state of either vision or mental image or mental feeling. It's just like a analog or digital thing. All right. It always lets you to remember the current connected with the past, so it make continuum. That's what consciousness is. If you cannot recognize it, that means you cannot relate the current one, what you see from the past one, you saw. That's called you are out of consciousness. You are unconscious, in other words. The statelessness, that's a concept from computer, okay? The website every day we see is stateless. That means it has no connection with whatever from the server, the web server sent to it here. All right, it's got stateless. If our consciousness is stateless, they are not connected like the web page, then you are not consciousness at all. No matter it's a mental image or vision image, if they are not a continuum, you cannot remember the current one related to the past one, you lost the meaning, the interpretation of meaning. All right? It only become syntax to you. The left part of your brain can get it, but the right part of your brain cannot do it. So that's a problem. That's called out of unconsciousness. All right. Okay. So last point I want to add to this outline or simplified version of journey of the absolute is the division, the macro world, MICRO, macro world, and macro world, MACRO world. All right. In each world, there's different divisions. For the macro world, MACRO world, it's matter is everything. It's a basic. It moves. Matter moves. Whatever moves is matter. But for the micro world, MICRO, is movement becomes matter, or vibration becomes matter, if you like. All right? That is in line with Einstein's theory of general relativity. In general relativity, there's a prediction that when speed near light, the time will slow down, right? And the distance will shrink, right? Okay, so you can think about that in this micro world. Its logic is uniform here. Actually, if you expand this logic, you can believe why people are this height, under 2 meters normally, why we are this size. It's because of the speed or time, temporal, spatial dimension. All right. To absolutology, time and space are a property of matters or prime matters. It develops into this macro world with the property of space and time. Before that, it doesn't have it. You can easily think about that in your dream. Do you have space and time, 2 dimensions? No, you don't. Okay? In quantum mechanics, we can only have 1. We either know the position or the speed of a quantum particle. Okay? We only have 1 dimension. Why? Because they come from micro world in my system. All right, today I think time is up. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.